Reduced motivation for cognitive tasks represents one of the most deceptive and dangerous early signs of cognitive decline, not because it causes immediate impairment, but because it silently opens the door to it. When you begin to feel disinterested in reading, learning, or solving problems that once sparked your curiosity, your brain is sending a clear distress signal. This lack of motivation is not mere laziness or a normal part of aging. It reflects subtle changes in the brain's reward circuitry and dopamine regulation, especially in areas like the prefrontal cortex and striatum. These regions are responsible for translating effort into a sense of accomplishment, and when their communication weakens, even simple mental challenges feel unappealing or pointless. This is a crucial warning sign because motivation is the engine that drives cognitive maintenance. When that engine slows down, the rest of the brain, memory, attention, reasoning soon follows. The early stages of reduced cognitive motivation often show up as procrastination on mentally demanding tasks, avoidance of learning new technologies, or a preference for passive entertainment over active engagement. You might find yourself rereading the same passage without interest, abandoning puzzles or books midway, or losing patience for problem solving that once felt satisfying. These patterns can quickly become self-reinforcing. The less mental stimulation the brain receives, the weaker its neural pathways for motivation and learning become. Over time, this leads to a downward spiral of underuse and decline. This process is sometimes called disuse atrophy of the brain, much like muscles that weaken when not exercised. The warning here is stark. When the brain's reward system stops responding to mental effort, apathy grows, and the door to accelerated cognitive aging opens wide. Biologically, reduced motivation is linked to neurotransmitter imbalances, particularly dopamine and acetylcholine, both of which influence drive, curiosity, and the ability to sustain mental effort. Chronic stress, depression, poor nutrition, or inflammatory diets can suppress these chemical messengers, leaving the brain understimulated. Sleep deprivation, too, is a hidden culprit. Even moderate sleep loss lowers dopamine receptor sensitivity, making rewarding activities feel dull or unrewarding. Over time, this neurochemical fatigue manifests as emotional flatness, procrastination, and mental passivity. The positive message is that these changes are often reversible. With the right combination of cognitive, nutritional, and lifestyle interventions, dopamine pathways can be reactivated and motivation restored. Cognitive re-engagement begins with one key strategy: structured challenge paired with reward. The brain thrives when it experiences progress, the small thrill of mastering a skill, solving a puzzle, or completing a task. Gamified brain training platforms such as BrainHQ, Lumosity, or Peak are effective precisely because they turn effort into measurable progress. These programs track improvement and provide visual feedback, activating the brain's reward system and rebuilding motivation through success reinforcement. Goal setting is equally important. Establish small, achievable learning targets, such as completing a language lesson, solving a logic puzzle, or recalling daily facts, and reward yourself after each success. Over time, this rekindles the dopamine response that drives motivation naturally. Social engagement adds a powerful multiplier effect. Interacting with others around intellectually stimulating activities, discussion groups, trivia games, collaborative learning, or community problem solving activates both emotional and cognitive circuits, making the brain work harder while releasing social reward chemicals like oxytocin and serotonin. Isolation, by contrast, is one of the fastest accelerators of motivational decline. Humans are wired to learn socially. A conversation, a debate, or a shared creative task reignites dormant curiosity and restores a sense of purpose. Joining a book club, volunteering in an educational project, or even playing strategy games with friends can help retrain the brain's engagement system. Nutrition is another critical foundation for maintaining cognitive drive. Leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and legumes provide essential nutrients that fuel the brain's neurotransmitter production. Dark leafy greens such as kale, spinach, and collards are rich in folate, magnesium, and antioxidants, which protect the prefrontal cortex from oxidative stress, the very region responsible for planning and motivation. Nuts and seeds, especially walnuts and almonds, contain omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin E, supporting synaptic efficiency and nerve health. Choline-rich foods like eggs and soy enhance acetylcholine levels, improving attention and mental stamina. Meanwhile, complex carbohydrates from whole grains and legumes provide a steady supply of glucose, the brain's preferred energy source, preventing the fatigue and irritability that often reduce motivation. Avoiding excessive sugar, processed foods, and alcohol is equally important, as these can destabilize dopamine levels and blunt the brain's reward response. Physical activity acts as a natural stimulant for motivation. Aerobic exercise, in particular, increases dopamine and endorphin levels while improving blood flow to the brain. Even light movement, a 20-minute walk, dancing, or yoga, can restore mental alertness and enthusiasm for learning. Exercise also triggers the release of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which helps neurons grow and connect, strengthening cognitive circuits involved in curiosity and persistence. Studies consistently show that people who exercise regularly report higher engagement with cognitive tasks and a greater sense of purpose. This is not merely due to better physical health. It is the result of direct biochemical support to the motivational systems of the brain. Sleep and recovery cannot be ignored. Chronic fatigue dulls curiosity and slows thought processes, making mental effort feel disproportionately draining. Adequate sleep, 7 to 9 hours of consistent, high-quality rest, restores neurotransmitter balance and resets motivation levels. The prefrontal cortex, which governs decision-making and goal pursuit, recovers during deep sleep, regaining its ability to focus and resist distraction. Practicing good sleep hygiene, such as avoiding blue light at night, reducing caffeine intake in the afternoon, and keeping a stable bedtime, helps maintain these cycles and prevents the cognitive sluggishness that fuels disinterest. Mindset and emotional management also determine whether motivation wanes or strengthens. Chronic stress, negative self-talk, or perfectionism can paralyze motivation by making cognitive tasks feel punishing rather than rewarding. Cognitive behavioral strategies, breaking large tasks into manageable steps, celebrating small wins, and reframing mistakes as progress, rebuild emotional resilience and intrinsic motivation. Mindfulness and gratitude practices, meanwhile, increase awareness of positive experiences, which reinforces the brain's reward network and counteracts apathy. Even 5 minutes a day of reflection or journaling can reignite the internal drive to learn and improve. A practical daily intervention plan for boosting cognitive motivation might look like this. Start each morning with light physical movement, followed by a nutrient-dense breakfast rich in leafy greens or nuts. Set one specific learning goal, even small, such as reading an article or practicing a short memory drill. Schedule a 15-minute session of gamified brain training in the afternoon, followed by social interaction or conversation about what you've learned. In the evening, unwind with music or creative work that engages your attention without strain, then review one thing you learned that day before sleeping. Over weeks, this routine helps rewire the brain's motivational circuitry and restore a natural appetite for mental effort. The positive reality is that a loss of motivation for cognitive tasks is not a permanent condition. It is a reversible signal of imbalance. When the brain is properly fueled, challenged, and emotionally engaged, curiosity naturally returns. People who reintroduce structured cognitive activity, nourishing food, and social interaction often report not only sharper thinking but renewed enthusiasm for life itself. Yet the warning remains critical. Allowing apathy to persist leads to faster neural atrophy and premature decline. Mental disuse is a silent accelerant of aging, but consistent re-engagement, even in small, joyful steps, can reignite the brain's drive to learn, adapt, and thrive. The secret lies in nurturing effort as a source of pleasure, not burden, transforming each act of thinking into an investment in lifelong mental vitality.